Hello, writers. Welcome back to another Prompt to Publication interview. And I'm so excited to have Polly Prose with us today. Polly's been with us for a while on Deadlines for Writers, and she's here to tell us about her new book of poetry that has just been published. Welcome, Polly.
Thank you.
Polly, I have a few questions, and you are welcome just to let us know what your thoughts are. We're all writing enthusiasts, so I think that's what we want to know about most. So just in short, tell us a little bit about who you are. Talk a bit about your friends and your family. What do you do for a day job, or when you're not busy writing, or how do you keep busy?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. So I'm originally from Iceland, but as various places. Since my early 20s, I moved to London and I lived there for 3 years. And then I've been sort of like a little bit back and forth to Iceland. I was in Norway for a little while and then in Canada for a few months. And then I ended up here in Denmark, where I am located at the moment in Copenhagen. And I've been here for the past 13, 14 years, I think. So, yeah. And I have my parents are still, and one of my sisters is still in Iceland. I have one sister here who's living here with her family, and where my two nephews and a niece are located as well, which I find is amazing because I really enjoy spending time with them and having fun with them. So, and I work in the tourism industry, so that's sort of like what I do every day. And it has also allowed me to travel a little bit, which is nice because I love traveling aside from writing. And normally, when I have the chance, and before I go to work, I start in my corner cafe here around the corner, my favorite one. And then I have my own little spot there as well, which is really nice. And then I just use a couple of hours there in the mornings to sit and write or read. And for me, that is the perfect start of a day. It really grounds me, so to speak.
It sounds idyllic. Um, Tell us a little bit about this collection of poems and your experience of writing it.
Yeah, so it sort of started in 2022, where I had a little bit of burnout after Corona and everything. And I went on a sick leave from work for a few months. And during that time, I actually reconnected with writing because I'd always loved writing. And I'd been writing ever since I was a teenager. But sometimes life just kicks in, and then you sort of forget the things that you really enjoy, that really help you kind of like get through life or just like process things. So for me, writing has always been a way of processing. So I started doing that again in 22. And from there on, it was just mostly about processing things, going through maybe a little bit of a depression, a burnout, and anxiety and things like that. And a lot of positive feelings as well. So it was just like connecting to also what friends and family were talking about, and just trying to examine the human side of all of us in a way, and human feelings and emotions. And I just realized that I really enjoyed that. So it was a very fun process for me, and I just realized as well that I really enjoyed it. It was something that I had forgotten that I enjoyed so much. And then from there on, I decided to take some writing courses as well. And through one of the writing courses, I found Deadlines for Writers, which I've been really, happy with, especially the challenges, because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And in particularly just like sharing both my poetry and maybe like short stories as well with other people and getting feedback. I never ever dared to do that before. So that was like the biggest hurdle to kind of like overcome. So, and then I kind of like just thought in that process, because I realized that I'd always kind of acted out on, like, all my decisions were made out of fear. It's like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. I think most of us probably have had those feelings in one point or the other. But then I kind of tried to change it and said, like, why not? And then I just wanted to just, instead of not doing something, then just try it and not look at it as a failure if it didn't work out, but rather as an experience. And so I think I would say like the poetry is sort of like the process of like a lot of those things, and yeah, I, maybe that
Yeah,
would.
sometimes we don't know what we're feeling until we write it down. So
Yeah,
that's how I to think about it.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad that you found us, and I'm very glad that you're sharing your stories with us. I love hearing all of those things. It's, I think, why we're here. It's just to get us over those big hurdles and little hurdles and big fears and small fears, because otherwise we'll stay stuck. Um, you mentioned that your writing is your process. Do you find, so sometimes some people find writing very draining, other people find it very energizing. Where do you feel, do you get energy from your writing? Do you find it invigorates you, or do you find that you need to rest after the big outing of the emotions?
definitely it energizes me, which is so funny because like I've realized as well that when it gets too hectic in life and I don't have those mornings that I mentioned before, that actually, when I look back on the week and I realize that I'm a little bit more anxious than usual maybe, or I'm stressed out, then I look back and say, well, actually, I didn't give myself the time to sit down and write and enjoy a cup of coffee always with my computer and write. So for me, it is a way of just like I don't know, grounding myself, or it really, I find I get energy from it. I've never experienced that it's had a draining of it. Not yet, at least not yet.
No, I
So
think it has, yeah, it has a lot to do with the subject matter, but I always say I'm a nicer person when I'm creative. It's when I don't do my creative work, that's when I get scratchy and miserable and stuff. So those
exactly.
are, it's important that you make the time for that.
Yeah.
Do you have other creative pursuits that feed your writing, or that your writing feeds back into?
Um, Yeah, I do love like music has a really big part of it, has a as a big part of my heart. So I was brought up with music in the household, and I play the piano and a little bit of guitar. And so at one point I tried to also compose a little bit like music and lyrics. And I think it's like what also got me much into poetry again was slam poetry, and
Mhm.
just the way that the performance is, and that the rhythm that's behind it. So, and that was very new for me. So that's kind of like also affected a little bit of my writing style when I started writing again in 22. So I think it's just like the rhythm, the musical aspect of it, the way that, yeah, definitely music, I would have to say. Um,
Yeah.
that's possibly has like the most yeah, the biggest biggest part of it, or the side of singing and playing music.
Well, I've never met a creative person who says, no, this doesn't influence this. It all comes together and it works. And it's just the one influences the other. And if I'm stuck in the one, the other helps. And when I'm stuck in that one, we go to the other again. So it's
Yeah,
great that we have these outlets. Um,
yeah.
all writers are readers. What do you enjoy reading?
I I think it's like it's a little bit of everything. I'm actually at the moment I'm going through a thriller phase. So yeah, I've always loved thrillers and mysteries. I think it's because of the puzzles, or trying. There's a little bit of the detective in me. I just love things that are, you have to sort of like search for the answers, and then figure things out. So there have been some books that I've read where they've been completely different, kind of style wise, where you're sort of a part of being the detective as you read. So and I've really enjoyed those new kind of writing styles. And I find it so fascinating, something that I would love to be able to do at some point as well. But yes, I think as long as, you know, from when I was little, I was always reading. And I think what attracted me to writing was the fact that someone could have so much power over your emotions, that you could either laugh or cry or be afraid just by reading something. That was, I found it so amazing. And then that's, you know, when I was thinking back, I always wanted to be like that, or be able to do that, to sort of like move someone's emotions. I don't know if I have managed to, but but it's like yeah, that is something that uh, yeah, makes me happy when I read, is if I feel something.
Brilliant.
Yes.
A great goal. Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about the journey of putting this collection together, of the publishing process. How did you go about it? How did you make your decisions? A little bit more about that.
Yeah. So it started first with just thinking about maybe one book, and then actually it turned out as like, oh, I had so much material that maybe it was enough for for two more. So um, the first step was just to share my poetry online. First, it was on Instagram, and then I saw some courses that I took, and then I took one self-publishing course that I thought was very interesting and I really enjoyed. And then I just started little by little learning how to format, go through how to publish through KDP, Amazon KDP. I just decided just to go that way to start with, and then I could learn more along the way. I really, in the beginning, I kind of was wondering, is like, if I put a lot of thought behind it, or if it was just like random. I do tend to make decisions very quickly, and then afterwards I feel I should have put a lot more thought into things. But then when I look back, it's sort of kind of on a personal level just like worked out. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, yeah. But I wanted to, so I had like I had three ideas of or like an idea of what I wanted the book to be called. And I think I just took the name of some of the poetry that was included in that particular book, and that was just like the name of. And then it kind of like just evolved from there. So for example, the book's called Echoes of Silence, and then in the process of recovering from a little bit of a burnout and anxiety, then I had to figure out like what I wanted as well, and what my hopes and dreams were, again, to kind of like reconnect with all that. And in that process, I thought it was like, I didn't really know what my voice was. So the subtitle, I decided to have like Finding My Voice, or Finding Your Voice, and thinking that maybe that would resonate with some people that don't, you know, are maybe self-professed people pleasers. But you don't always remember, you don't always know what it is that you want yourself, and things like that. So it was kind of like a process through processing, if you can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you say about this like unintentional intentionality. It's like you think you're just going to put it together, and then afterwards you go, oh look, they actually, you know, it's like they weirdly fit. And that's I
Yeah.
think where, yeah, it's this, yeah, that's when I face, when it's organic. I think that's what I like the most. It's not, I'm also not the world's greatest planner, so I love it
Yeah.
when things seem to fit in the end. And I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, because yeah, it's strange how that works sometimes.
It works sometimes, other times you get in a bit of trouble, but it's okay.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what would you consider for yourself in your book to be literary or publishing success? When would you think you've made it?
That's a good question. So because I really, really have a hard time selling myself. So it's never been for the reason of having a lot of money or getting like that. That has never been sort of like, it's just kind of first and foremost getting over my own fears and just do it. And then I looked at one diary entry I'd made like I think it was 25 years ago. It was like very, very long time ago, where I'd written that my dream was to become a published writer. And I read that after I'd pressed the publish button. And then that was sort of like a crazy a light bulb moment for me. Just like, wow, that for me was really big. But I think if I like success for me is if I could move just one person, if they could find either comfort or encouragement or be yeah, just one person would be encouraged or comforted or find like that they're not alone in whatever situation they are in. If they find that in one of my poems, or feel moved or somehow are moved by it, then I would find that would be like that would make me happy. Because I know how much that does for me when I read something, and I'm so happy when I read something. And then if I would be able to have that effect on someone with what I say, then that would really make me happy. Yeah.
And I got goosebumps when you spoke about the diary entry and pressing
Yeah.
publish. It's awesome and amazing.
It was
Um,
crazy when I read it. I was just yeah.
Very cool. Um, what was I think what was the hardest or the most surprising part about the publishing process? Either something physical with the tech side, or emotional, or what was the hardest or most surprising?
I think this may be the hardest is I find, and this might, maybe some will recognize themselves in this as well. It's just like, I find it's harder to share my writings with those that I know than those that I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, it's strange because it's like, for me, there is a part of me in what I'm writing, but it doesn't define me 100%. So, but I think it's like sometimes, and I know I do it myself when I read something, you kind of like look at the person, it's hard to separate the written from the person sometimes. That has been a challenge, but it's also been very amazing to see the support, and how willing people are, or how proud they can be of you. And then it was just like, oh, that's really nice to hear. Like, of course, not that I didn't expect otherwise, but it's just a scary thing.
Yep.
um and I think the marketing process, like I'm not good at that at all. So this interview is a very, very scary thing for me. Although it's been very
That's
nice.
great. No, it is great. Yeah, I resonate with that completely. I think I told people on the internet that I'm a writer long before I told anyone in my real life that I'm a writer. I've always written and I've always wanted, but like, saying that I'm going to be this writer in the world, it was something it took a long time to share. And
Yeah.
it's something I had to make a conscious effort when someone asks me what I do, to say that I'm a writer and to stand in that. I would used to, make jokes about it and stuff like that. And I had to unlearn that. That was, something, it's tricky. And your book marketing is a whole other beast. But one thing
Yeah.
that, like I mean, in the beginning, writing a book was overwhelming, and you've done that. So the marketing seems overwhelming, but it is a teachable or a learnable skill. So it's part of it.
It's about, I find it's overcoming that fear of judgment and critique. But I do, and that's the weird thing, is like because I do like getting feedback, because it's the only way you evolve you develop, you learn. And then if you don't allow yourself to listen to other people's voices and take some of it, you don't have to take all of it, but it's just a way of actually moving forward instead of being stuck where you are. And I think that for me, Deadlines for Writers has been the greatest gift. I've really, really appreciated that. And I enjoy that, and I'm learning so much from everyone there.
I'm so excited to share it with you. It's wonderful. And I think it's beautiful when you see a writer. I always see the writers come onto the site and, they don't want to, don't want to make contact, don't want to talk yet. And then, as the years progress, they reach out more and everything as we really become comfortable with each other and we get to know each other quite well, which I think is lovely.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I have two more questions for you. Let's finish up the business part first, and then I'll ask you my favorite question. What advice do you have for writers? If there is a poet out there who is ready to put their collection together for the first time, what advice would you give to them?
just do it. Yeah, I think yeah, where to start? Because I think it's just to start with collecting your favorite poems and just put them together. Because I think sometimes you don't always realize how much you have until you have to start somewhere. And it's just to start. And then take some courses if you're interested in doing a self-publishing. I personally, the thing is, I broke my foot, so I decided to take some courses while I was stuck at home, anyways. And that really, I really enjoyed that. Just seeing how complicated and it is. It appears to be very complicated, but like once you get those steps, it is really it's really interesting business. And it's don't be afraid of getting feedback from others, and just go for it, just do it, because it will. One thing I learned from one of your classes, and what you said, I remember what you said, or someone, I think it was you or someone else in the classes, was that not everyone likes maybe what we're writing or what we are doing, but there's always someone that will enjoy it. And that's the beauty of words and writing. It's that's why there are so many different genres, and we are as many as we are different. So it will always affect or move someone, and let that maybe be the kind of the ball that pulls you or puts you in that direction. If yeah.
Fantastic. Nice. Thank you. And then my favorite and your last question is, what was your favorite book as a child?
Oh, as a child. Oh yes. Well, I used to love the Nancy Drew books.
I also read all of them.
Yes, they were like my favorite. I think I think it was because it was detective mystery, and I just really loved them. And I don't know if people remember the Enid Blyton's book, like the adventure books, and yeah, those books as well. So there's like those series of books that I really, really loved. And of course the classics, they came a little bit later, when I got a little bit older. So yeah.
But Polly, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all the best of luck on this new adventure that you're taking on. I'm incredibly proud. I hope you are incredibly proud. It is just fantastic, and just go do it. Market that book. You've got it.
Yes. Thank you. I've really enjoyed coming. So thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure.